Greetings, everybody. We've gathered back around the table again today to continue the discussion about the Drunken. Spyderco Drunken.
Drunken.
A little bit.
Yeah, this evening, point in the evening.
This is the rambly part, so thanks for being here.
Once again, Joe's MIA.
Yeah.
Because he sucks.
Yeah, because he's a weeby weeb like that.
Hashtag Joe sucks.
Yep.
Hashtag weeb.
You'll get all sorts of weird things with that, I'm sure.
I hope not. Don't send me stuff.
Too late. So yeah, the Drunken. As you saw from the earlier episode in the week, and if you hadn't seen, go back and watch it. But yeah, we put up our scoring.
We certainly did. There was actually some similar scores between
Some of us.
2/3 of us, and then Nigel was a super hater. But Nigel was a super hater on the personal level. So we can let him be a super hater a little bit. When it's the objective, I do question. And there was a big point that I did question on
We did talk about it.
the super hater as far as the objective goes. And that was the fit and finish versus materials. Fit and finish versus cost category.
Yeah.
I can't really see a flaw in this knife, and the amount of machining that they did to this knife is higher than probably any other Spyderco on the market right now. I didn't give it a perfect score. I gave it an 8. But both Nigel and Paul both gave it a 7 in this category.
And like you said, the fit and finish is, I don't know if I can say impeccable, but it's right there. It is as good as...
You were pointing out ramps on a D-tent.
I was impressed. I'm not hating at all.
I don't know, kind of part of it in my mind is I do kind of think is like the Chris Reeve stuff is one of the highest levels of fit and finish for production knives. And I honestly don't know if this is going to be up to that same level
Where's that rounded spine?
As far as like how nicely tucked in all the like the pivot accent is, it's a little off. Like Chris Reeve stuff would be perfectly flushed, stuff like that. So for that price point, I'm being picky as hell.
That
is a good
personal preference on being sunk in and not being sunk in. I mean, some stability and some thickness of the materials. You have to have a thicker pivot to go.
I'm not saying necessarily sunk in, but where that lip is there, just having that level.
Yeah.
It would still be sunk in, but it wouldn't be an eighth of an inch down.
I would personally say that the machining on this handle in particular is still a higher amount of machining on this handle. Maybe not quite as precise on a Chris Reeve that has 2 titanium slabs going this way.
And the 3D machining that goes into it.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And the amount and the internal skeletonizing. I don't know if we can find an internal picture, but I would love to pop an internal picture up of the skeletonizing on this knife because it's insane.
They did a good job.
But like you pointed out, the precision there, and that's what I'm kind of thinking of as far as the lapping that Chris Reeves does to both scales to make sure that they're absolutely perfectly level and perfectly flat.
You bet.
So, like, I don't know if they actually put that much into it. Like,
so what's more important, taking one flat slab and making it 100% perfect, or doing a dozen different things, like, at a 92+% like crisp job? I don't know. I don't know what the better thing is, right?
I don't know. In my mind, for fit and finish, that's what you're talking about, is the precision of the build.
Yeah, okay.
See, I came at it from a different angle. I came at it from the point of, this is very good machining. Like, this is the kind of machining and the fit and finish that I would expect on the higher end stuff, you know, the Grimsmos, things like that. You know what I mean? But if I had a Grimsmo in front of me at their, what are they, $1,600 nowadays, Canadian?
Something like that, yeah.
That would get like a 2 for fit and finish versus cost because of how expensive it is for something that I can get for half that price. Or, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
the big thing for me is the amount of machining, I suppose, right?
Like, there definitely is a lot in there, and they did a wonderful job of it.
You put a bullet point note on everything they did to this knife. There's not many knives that have as many bullet points as this knife has.
This is true, yes.
the level of machining does make me nerd out a little bit. I will say that. Like, I enjoy taking it from every angle and looking at it from the inside milling.
And don't get me wrong, this is not a knife that I'm super in love with or want to buy, but you gotta call something what it is, and it for what they did to this knife. Yeah.
It's a long conversation about 1 point.
Wow.
It's a big point.
No, I'm just we're 1 point off from a 7 to an 8.
Oh
Yeah, for sure. Now my
Splitting hairs.
big point was definitely the right hand only carry, as well as this pocket clip, which we might as well segue onto. Sucks for everybody. It
does.
Sucks for everybody.
Yeah, I was actually playing around with this guy, and with how shallow the clearance is, it is actually really, really hard to get onto jeans. Like, I could only get it about halfway before I was actually, felt like it would have had to force it to get it all the way down.
Wanting to stop around there a lot of times.
Well, right where the cutout is on the titanium.
Yep.
That's where it's going to want to hang you up every time. And with it being as flat as it possibly is, it's going to try to do that every time.
I almost feel bad because I feel like we slammed the Spyderco smock for having the too high of a clip. And now we're slamming it for the other side of things where it's too shallow.
Get it right, and then it's not a problem.
Exactly. But yeah, with that clip issue, it definitely seems like it's going to be more of a suit sort of knife, just because it will fit into slacks better. But then it might be a little chunky.
What is our
3
overall
ounces.
weight again?
3 ounces and change.
Yeah, just over 3 ounces.
Really? That is really impressive for how big this knife is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it might not necessarily be the weight, but it's a large package for a suit knife, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one thing I just realized, and it's a personal pet peeve of mine when it comes to expensive knives, is a spring clip instead of a 3D machined.
Something a little standoffish.
It is titanium. It is cut out and everything else. It's its own unique shape. But for the money you're paying for that, it should really be a 3D machined clip.
And I know it's a love-hate thing and no one has one on the table right now, but I love the wire clip.
Luckily enough, I just so happen to have one. Oh, a wire
clip.
You were on to showing off 3D machine clips even before you heard what I said. I can throw it down here.
I wasn't even listening to you.
Because aftermarket clips, it's great. It's great. But when it comes to Spyderco and a titanium with Spyderco, they've had much, much success with their wire clips on titanium.
Agreed.
I would have liked that more than what they've got rocking right now, for sure.
Yeah, one of the major negatives that I found was also with the clip again, and with how shallow it is, they flared that tip up fairly sharply, and it's a little pokey pointy.
You bet, yeah.
Hot spot for sure.
It looks like an afterthought. It really does. On this piece in particular, and where it comes up on your pocket, it looks like they didn't think about any sort of comfort on the using factor.
I almost wonder if they had it set to a more shallow angle previously, and they realized it was not quite getting into pockets, so they went, just bend it.
Yeah.
Done.
Maybe, yeah. I will say, huge fan of the stone wash on top of the mirror polish on the blade itself.
Does look nice, yeah.
Once again, something that Spyderco does almost exclusively. You don't see it from very many companies, and it's phenomenal on what they're doing with that guy, right? So
A Sinkovich.
Okay.
I like Sinkovich.
Okay, speaking of Sinkovich, and speaking of, I don't have it with me, but Marcin Slisch, because I'm going to throw some controversy. How is this not a Spidey Chef? How is this not Marcin Slisch, a Spidey Chef on steroids?
There's a lot of similarities between it and
but you'll
that.
see with the chef that I'm going to splice in there that there's also a lot of similarities.
Man, I saw it before I knew it was even a Sinkovich design, and I said, they made a fancier Spidey Chef.
Yeah, that was my exact same thought when I was flipping through the reveal, and it was like, oh, look, a fancy chef. Flip. Yeah.
And then you flip back and you actually read the article on it, and they were designed by Sinkovich. And first I was like, oh, wait, it's not Marcin Slisch. And then secondly, I was like, wait, Sinkovich is like Kershaw's ZT boy.
Yeah, he's making a jump.
I mean, I know that Ken Onion kind of had some falling out with the Kershaw went to CRKT, and what's on the horizon for Sinkovich, right? It's
hard to say.
It's funny, the first thing that I saw was, hey, cool, that looks a lot like the 456. I don't love the blade. I wish it had more angles to it. Especially because there is sharp, angles. Yeah. Not sharp edges, but angles to the handle that would have
This is reminiscent of a Kapara that also came out this year.
Yeah.
And that was the wave that they seemed to be riding on those ones, right?
And the Spidey Chef, like you said.
Yeah, for sure.
Very much so.
You had a personal material choice conversation.
Yeah.
We got 5 minutes to talk about this garbage.
Yeah.
So I actually gave it a 7 for the material choice. I love the S90, I love carbon fiber, and I love titanium. I just don't love them all mashed together into one package.
This is in the objective category, right?
No, personal.
This is
personal.
material
Yeah,
choice.
yeah.
The first category
Yeah.
in the personals
Yeah,
is
so
material choice.
yeah, I'm picky about having matching scales.
Okay, so my question was in the Tuesday episode does that fall under an aesthetic category instead of a materials choice category? And we've had these conversations many times off camera. This is the first time we're going to have one of these low-down conversations on camera because I'm super curious.
Sorry, guys.
No, I'm curious about if we can actually come to terms on a solution of this, because I personally think that would be very much an aesthetic choice category, because aesthetically it bugs me to have them on both sides, and you're right, it does.
Yeah.
But if you tell me what materials are in a knife, and you say carbon fiber, titanium, S90, blah, blah, blah,
Check.
those materials get a 10 out of 10 in the dentist category.
What did you give it for aesthetic?
Aesthetic choice?
Yeah.
Now, having said that, blade comes into play.
Of course.
Yeah,
So,
I'm just curious what he gave it for
yeah,
aesthetic.
for sure.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could see it being a 2 and bumping up the material choice by a point or so.
Yeah. Yeah, in my mind, for why I made the argument or made my scoring the way I did is they chose to put those materials where they did in the configuration they did. So that is part of the choosing of the materials.
So, are you grading what their material choice was in that category, or are you grading what you like for materials in that
I'm
category?
grading their material choice and their choice to put it on both sides.
Okay, because in the personal category, material choice, and I have been rocking this for a long time under my own impression of a material choice, is what are you using? Are you using M390 or are you using HCR13 MOV? Because an HCR13 MOV, just like the Indela episode that we had,
VG10.
VG10 is going to
Not
get a 6
exciting.
from me. I'm sorry, it doesn't wow me. A Manly Knives with S90V is now wowing me. A Drunken with S90V is now wowing me. You're going to get a 10 because what you tell me these materials are all the materials that Dennis loves, right? And that's just for my own personal, and that's what I've been scoring it at up until this conversation we're having right now.
And I do agree with if it's just a blind checklist without even seeing what the knife is, and you just tell me it's this, this, and this, I'll agree, but then I see the package of what it is and how it's being put together, and that's where that plays a part into it in my mind.
Okay.
And I'm going to muddy the waters just by saying I can see both of your points of view. I can understand where it'd be an aesthetic.
So how do you personally?
Personally,
put your point
I go down the checklist of what does it have in it.
Yeah.
Okay, those things are things that I like. I should like it in the end result.
Yeah, okay. I'm just curious. And again, Joe not being here because he's in a time warp. Black holes. I told you that's how black holes happen. That's someone plugged an electric cable into itself.
Just spit in my face.
A little bit, but that's okay.
Weeb hole.
It's a weeb hole.
Dirty.
Hashtag weeb hole.
Dirty. Don't do that.
Don't Google that.
It's a bad choice. Bad choice.
Too late. They've gone too far.
Pick up the
Anyway,
eye bleach.
yeah, I'm just super curious on, because I don't know. We'll probably talk more about this off camera and probably try to come to some sort of
I think you guys down in the comment section should let us know what you think.
what you think the
should it
category
be-
of material choice.
Yeah, should it be in material choice? Should it be in aesthetics?
Yeah, should
Or
it,
mismatch?
like as we kind of mentioned there, should it just be the blind checklist of this is what the package is and we're not concerned on how the package is presented? Is that what we're grading the material choice as?
And sometimes myself personally, I find it good to be able to score that using those bullet points myself.
Yep.
Right? So when I am scoring a knife, I'll throw down some bullet points and can have a running list. So by the end of the week, you've got this running list of bullet points that are worth a score or not worth a score, depending on what it is. So that's just my own brain. That's my own scoring system, and that's what we've had. But this episode is a good week to come up with some controversy in the scoring chart.
It's a perfect example of why having 4 people or 3 people at the table is better.
Wow.
Yeah. It's better because we get differing opinions.
Exactly. Yep. And yeah, now that we've kind of rambled and babbled on for a while here, and not necessarily exactly about the knife, but it was still a fun conversation. Let us know what you guys think of this, and if you have any conclusions to our talking points here. We'd also like to thank Cutting Edge for supplying the knife for the review purposes.
You guys are awesome.
Yep.
Thanks
it is
again.
Muchly appreciated. And yeah, that's going to be all for this episode. Nigel the Smith, signing off.
I am who I am. I'm Dennis Vipers.
XL.ca.
We will catch you again next week.
We don't need bigger knife. Yeah.